Okay, back to the laws of Muktza. So we're in the middle of Keli Shemalachta Le'isr. A vessel's primary use is for something forbidden. You're allowed to move it if you need the place, or you want to do something permissible. So the last thing we were discussing was candlesticks that were lit that Shabbos are completely Muktza. Candlesticks that weren't lit that Shabbos was called Keli Shemalachta Le'isr. We're learning about rulers, thermometers, measuring cups. All those things are primarily used for things that are forbidden. Okay, now generally speaking, in halacha, contemporary halacha, all the small appliances, like flashlights, calculators, radios, tape recorders, okay, basically they're keli shemalachta le'isr. There's something that you can't use it on Shabbos, so therefore it could be moved only l'tzorech gufim mekayim. But if it's something very important, we're going to learn more about this din because it's a very practical din. Any appliance, though, that's very expensive, and you wouldn't use it for anything but what it's made to be used for, and you wouldn't use it for anything else because it's too expensive and too precious to ruin, so then it's completely Muktza. That Muktza that we're going to learn after this is called Muktza machsor kis. Muktza because of a loss of money. To give a very simple example, you're not allowed to play music on Shabbos. So therefore, all musical instruments are keli shemalachta le'isr. Now normally we learned if it's a keli that's malachta le'isr, you can move it if you need the place, or you can move it if you want to do something with it. But what happens if you have an expensive guitar, we mentioned this before, you have an expensive violin, for thousands of dollars, or a guitar, or whatever. Whatever, a very expensive instrument. You're not going to use it for anything but playing music. You're not going to use it as a door stopper. You're not going to use it to hit somebody over the head with. You're not going to use it for anything but what it's made to use because you don't want to use it, ruin it. So therefore, that is what's called, in addition to Keli Shemalachta Le'isr, it also has another status of Muktza machsor kis. It's Muktza because of loss of money. That becomes completely Muktza. You cannot move it for any reason. So if somebody left their expensive violin, let's say, on a dining room table, and you want to move it because you need the place, you wouldn't be allowed to move it on Shabbos. But let's say these, what the kids play with these flutes, little, the cheap things. So that's Keli Shemalachta Le'isr. Because it's made for, but then it's not expensive, so that you can move it if you need the place, or you need to do something permissible with it. Now another interesting thing is like this. A car is a keli shemalachta le'isr, because you're not allowed to drive a car on Shabbos. So therefore it's a keli whose primary use is for something forbidden. So now the question is, what happens a car door? Is a car door, can I open a car door on Shabbos? Let's say, why would I want to? Let's say I went shopping before Shabbos, and then I realized on Shabbos the car is parked in my backyard, in the garage, or not in the street. The street is a little bit different. But the car is parked in my driveway, in the garage or in my backyard, and I left something in the trunk, or I left something in the car. So again, a car door, think about a car door, is again, it's part of the car. It's keli shemalachta le'isr. But now if I open a car door and the light's going to go on or off, then for sure I can't open it. Not because of Muktza, because I'm turning the light on and off. But what happens if I set it up in a way that there's no light? I turn off the light. I close the light, there's no, I turn off the light's not going to go on. Or the trunk. You open a trunk, normally the light goes on. But what happens if I make it that the light doesn't go on? So the light doesn't go on. So now the question is, what happens if I left something in the trunk or in the car? So I'm opening the car door. Now, it's a keli shemalachta le'isr. But I need, the door is in my way to get to the thing I left in the car. The trunk lid, the trunk, is blocking. I need the place where the door is, or where the trunk door is, because I need to get to the thing in the car. So then, again, if there's no light going on, I would be allowed to open a car door, close the car door. No, closing the car door would be an issue. 1 second. Opening the car door to get something in the car or the trunk. Now the question is, though, can I close the car door? Because that already I don't need. I need to open the car door to get the food out of the car. But now to close the car door, why am I closing the car door? It's not tzorech gufay, it's not tzorech mekayme. So in that case, you wouldn't be allowed to close the car door. But we'll learn later that you can move muktza with your foot. So I can kick the door, I can kick the trunk closed or the car door shut, because that's not moving muktza. Muktza is only moving it the normal way. What? Yeah, I said, if the car light is on, you can't open it anyway, because you're opening and closing the light, turning on and off the light. That you can't do. What?
Sometimes, if your car is parked in a garage or carport, there's a security light.
Okay, those are separate issues. Anytime you walk into a room and the light's going to go on is an issue. But now we're learning muktza. But 1 second. Now what happens, you have many times, people go to places and they want to sleep in the car. We're not talking about campers yet, we're talking about cars. Okay, you want to sleep in the car. Let's say you go into whatever. People used to go to the oil and Shabbos and there were no beds and they wanted to sleep in the car. So again, if you close the light in the car, that the light's not going to go on and off and you close the door. So technically you're allowed to sleep in the car. You can open the door, you need a place to get in. You can close the car door because you don't want the air car, whatever. So then you would be allowed to sleep in the car. Now, finding a camper, so a camper is really better. That's a house. Again, you just have to make sure when you open the RV door, the light doesn't go on. But if the light's not going to go on, it's a house. You can open the door of your house too. That's not an issue. So that would be allowed. So that was the story with cars and. Okay, but again, the problem closing the car door, that would be an issue. I'll tell you we have a similar story. What happened if you had clothes in the dryer? Okay, before Shabbos you put up a wash, and now the clothes in the dryer, and the clothes were dried. Okay? So now I realize I need some pair of socks in the dryer, a shirt, whatever. I need something in the dryer. So if when you open the dryer door, the light goes on or off again, so then you wouldn't be allowed to do it because you're turning on and off lights. But if, let's say there's no light in the dryer and you need to get something, now, a dryer is a keli shemalachta le'isr. What's a dryer? To dry clothing. You're not allowed to dry clothing on Shabbos. So a whole dryer is entirely a keli shemalachta le'isr. But again, to get clothes, I need the clothes. The clothes are not muktza. But the door is in the way of me getting into I need the place because the door is blocking it. So I can open the dryer door, providing lights don't go on, and then get the clothes. Now the question is, can I close the dryer? Can I close the dryer door? So if the dryer door being open blocks your passage out of the room, let's say it's a narrow room, right? And if you open you go in and you open the dryer door, but now the dryer door is blocking you from going. So now you need the place to go out of the laundry room. So then you can close the dryer door. If it's a wide room that you can go around, the dryer door is not blocking you. So then again, you can kick the door closed, but you can't actually close the door with your hand. Yeah.
Why are they considered special cases that you can't?
I didn't say.
Why not?
The dryer door is not something that's expensive. You wouldn't use for anything else.
You don't consider it like a whole dryer?
No. By the way, I'll give you a simple example. Do people put things on top of a dryer?
Absolutely.
Okay, so they use it as storage. So you can't say you're only using it to dry clothing. Like a violin, expensive violin or guitar, you're not going to use it you're not going to put it in storage. Put things on top of it. A dryer is things that you use for other usages also. What?
Sound has the same meaning as light.
Sound?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
For example, if you open the dryer, some make a noise, but not necessarily a light, but they make a sound.
A sound that,
A chime, yeah, chime.
that would be a question of mashmiya koil, of making even if it's not electronic, let's say. Mashmiya koil, you're on Shabbos because you're not allowed to play instruments, because you might make instruments. So therefore, for instance, if you have a door knocker, not what you knock with your fist, a door knocker, it's not so simple about knocking on the door because it's made to make noise. Okay? Okay, with Mashmiya Kol, it's a whole different concept. If you're allowed to clap on Shabbos, if you're allowed to bang with your spoon and fork to a rhythm, to a beat, if you're allowed to go tan-tan-tan-tan-tan, knocking on the door. All these things now you're building, that's a different concept. But Mashmiya Kol is also forbidden. So if it's going to make a noise, it would be a problem.
In this situation, can you be asking directly from a goy to close the dryer or open it?
Yeah, not only that, I'll tell you even more. What happens if there's a light in the refrigerator or in the dryer, and I forgot to close the light before Shabbos? So the din is, I can ask a guy to open the refrigerator door or to open the dryer door. Why? What I'm asking him to do is permissible. In other words, opening a dryer door is not a problem. Opening a refrigerator is not a problem. The only problem is, it's for psikration, meaning it's for sure going to happen that a light goes on. So even though it's what's called Eina Miskavent, it's unintentional, but we learned if it's psikresha, if it's for sure going to happen, you can't say it was unintentional, like chop off the head and I don't want the animal to die. So it's for sure going to happen. So the din is that psikresha, that means if you ask a guy to do something permissible, and because of that something forbidden will come out of it, it doesn't matter because what you're asking to do is permissible. Opening a refrigerator door is permissible. The light's going to go on. I don't want the light to go on. It's for sure going to happen. It doesn't matter by guy. The classic din in Shulchan Aruch about psikresha is a very interesting din. Years ago, they didn't have ovens like we have today. Okay, so how did they heat up a pot? Okay, they would put a pot on a stove, and then they would put coals. Not only at the bottom, they would line up coals all around it to heat up the whole pot. So now on Friday, Shabbos, let's say, it says in Shulchan Aruch, now I want to take off the pot. Okay? But the problem is, when I move the pot, all the coals are going to fall down on each other and extinguish each other, which is forbidden on Shabbos. I don't want them to be extinguished, but it's for sure going to happen. Okay? So I wouldn't be allowed to, if has coals all the way around it, I wouldn't be allowed to pick it up on Shabbos because the coals are going to fall down and extinguish. But I can come to a guy, so it's clear in Shulchan Aruch, I can ask the guy to take off, not to crack the pot, to take off the pot. Why? What I'm asking him to do is something permissible. Removing a pot, I'm not saying turn on the light or cook something. I'm asking him, remove the pot from the stove. That's allowed. Through this, the coals are going to fall down, and that's psikresha is allowed by a guy. What?
Let's say you open up your car door and the alarm goes off. You thought you turned it off before Shabbos, but it goes off. Does that have to go for the rest of Shabbos?
Then you try to get a guy to do it for you. They hinted. What?
Is there a difference between psikresha and neighbor and the neighbor? For instance, if the room is dark and open the fridge also gives you lights to see what you can get in the fridge.
That's worse. Psikresha nichole. There is a difference in halacha between a psikresha which you want, a psikresha that you don't want. It's a chilek. According to the Alter Rebbe, it's not allowed. It's not for now. There's a taste at the beginning of Ksubis, brings down the Aruch. The Aruch is a rishon that helps psikresha le'nichle is mutter. But most poskim disagree with that. In psikresha, some people say Vaad Rabbonim is good, Vaad is not. But we'll leave it at that. Machat Shinas Ram Ma'asim Mechavev Omayin Kim Shvila Agal Teira B'Chanan Kashemet.